We work with the Kansas Department of Agriculture. They do help fund us to help small food processors across Kansas and outside of Kansas, too. We are here to test any kind of food products that they want to sell, whether it's at farmers markets or any form of direct-to-consumer business that they have. We work with some clients that have their own facility where they're manufacturing their own products. Our goal is to help you make safe products.
The Kansas Value-Added Foods Lab, located in Call Hall on the Kansas State University campus, includes facilities, equipment, and information for food product development, packaging, and physical, chemical, and microbiological analysis of foods. The goal is to help small businesses and entrepreneurs develop their products to sell commercially. The lab also offers training, such as the Better Process Control School for Acidified Foods, being offered online November 2nd and 3rd. On today's Sound Living, helping Kansas food companies. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. Kansas State University food scientist Karen Blakeslee and Associate Professor Dr. Kelly Getty are co-directors of the Kansas Value-Added Foods Lab. Karen, first off, maybe just some background on the Kansas Value-Added Foods Lab. I know it's been on the campus for quite a while. What are some of the things that you really focus on?
So this is a program that we have here at K-State through the K-State Research and Extension program, and it's been around for over 30 years. And it is a program that we work with the Kansas Department of Agriculture. They do help fund us to help small food processors across Kansas and outside of Kansas, too. We are here to test any kind of food products that they want to sell, whether it's at farmers markets or any form of direct-to-consumer business that they have, and even beyond. We work with some clients that have their own facility where they're manufacturing their own products. Our goal is to help you make safe products. So we ask for samples of your products. We will test them, do some analytical tests on them, such as checking for the acid content, which is a pH reading. And then we also will check like the water activity, which is measuring the available water content within the food itself. It's not moisture content. That's something different. We also do some basic microbial tests, such as if we do a small shelf life study, we can set that up, and then we'll test the products like on a weekly basis to make sure that nothing's growing in the product, that it's holding its own and it's being shelf stable. We also do nutritional labels, so we can create nutrition facts labels. This is available for any product that you want to sell. A lot of small businesses may be exempt from needing a nutrition label, but it is good information for you to put on your food products so that the customer knows what nutritional value you're getting, and it also provides an ingredient statement and whether there's some major allergens in the food. So it's very informative. We have a lot of clients that do ask for nutrition labels. Our lab is staffed with undergraduate students. It gives them some great experience on working with clients and learning what happens from concept, of a client saying, I've got this food product I want to sell, and then they'll work through the steps with them and then get the information that they're asking for back to them. And it kind of gives them a from beginning to end viewpoint of the food industry. Even though it's a small business, it gives them a little snapshot. And it's really good experience for them to put on their resumes and talk about when they're going out to look for a job or an internship. So we have some great students that work in the lab and help us out with that. Keeps us up and running.
Kelly, in terms of what you discover, if you find something that is not safe, doesn't meet the regulations, you're able to offer some help as to maybe how they can make that product safe?
Absolutely. So my job is looking at their processes that they have provided to us and evaluating those temperatures and times that they're using to process the product, what type of containers they may be using, and from there I'll use some of the scientific data to determine if they may need to heat their product for a longer period of time or bring it up to a higher temperature. Also, they may be able to do something where they wouldn't use a water bath as you would in traditional canning, and that would be a hot fill hold method. And so we want to make sure we bring it up to a high enough temperature, we hold it there, and with that, we want to make sure that they have a one-piece lid that then they can invert to make sure that the headspace or that open area receives heat and is safe from that standpoint.
There's been such an increase in the number of people who are taking products to farmers markets now. Have you seen that as well, that a lot of people are bringing more things in to be tested?
Yeah, we've seen an increase in that. We also offer some farmers market workshops in late January, early February is kind of the time frame. And we're trying to get more education out to the farmers market vendors to encourage them to come to us and have us help you make sure that what you're wanting to sell is a safe product. More information will be coming out. We're in the planning stages for the next round of farmers market workshops. But in the meantime, we do have a publication that's targeted for farmers markets or anybody that sells food direct to consumers. And it's called Food Sold Direct to Consumers in Kansas, Regulations and Food Safety Best Practices. So this is a rather large publication. We update it every year in January to add new things that people are making. For example, here in the last couple of years, freeze-dried foods are becoming quite popular. So we've had to add that to our list of food products to talk about in this publication. We highly encourage that you take a look at that. See if your product is in there. See what kinds of things you would need to do. There are some things that you can make at home in your home kitchen that you can sell, and you don't have to have, you're not required to have a license from the Department of Ag, and there may not be any testing that you need to do. It just depends on what it is.
Health and safety are the number one priorities here, right?
Yes, they absolutely are. And so with that, we are always making sure that, as I said, we want to know times and temperatures. You just can't tell me you're simmering your product. I need that exact thermometer measurement. I need the time of that product. And with the safety aspect, one of the products we really work with are called acidified foods. Those are foods where you're looking at vegetables such as green beans, pickles, maybe carrots or hot sauces. And the products, such as the peppers and the beans, have a pH level that can be dangerous if vinegar or a type of acid isn't added to it to bring the pH level, because we want you to have a low enough pH level and a time and temperature process that will control Clostridium botulinum. That is the true main concern we have with our acidified foods.
Is that what we might call pickling?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Think about cucumbers and you add vinegar to them. That's a pickled product. So any kind of vegetable, plain vegetable that you're adding vinegar to, that's a pickled product. So those are what we call acidified foods. And we get a lot of products like that in the lab. And so it's especially hot sauces lately. We've been getting lots of those. So there is a workshop that we are going to be providing here for these particular kind of products, whether it's acidified foods or another version of that is called a formulated acid food. And that's where you're using acidic enough ingredients to create an acidic food in the end. You're not having to really add any vinegar or things like that. Barbecue sauce is an example of that. These acidified foods fall under the FDA regulations. And there is a training that you must take if you are wanting to sell these kinds of products, and it's called a Better Process Control School. And we are offering this on November 2nd and 3rd. It's going to be online via Zoom, and it will be in the mornings only. We are doing this in partnership with the University of Missouri. Registration is open. You can go to our Food Science Institute website, which is foodsci.ksu.edu, and click on the extension link, and you'll see a link for extension events and see the registration information there. Registration deadline is October 20th, and that's because we have some teaching materials that we have to mail to you, so we need to have enough time to get those out. So look for that information. Give us a call if you got any questions about it, and we look forward to helping you out and getting you certified in this program.
I'm assuming this is somewhat scientific, but how exactly does the course work? What are some of the things that they will be learning?
Well, there's several topics that they'll be covering, including microbiology of food. We'll give you what I call a Cliff Notes version. It's a very concise education on that topic itself, learning more about what acidified foods are and formulating these types of foods and how to make sure that you're making them safe. We also cover the types of containers and what we call closures, which are the lids. What kinds of containers are acceptable to be used. We also talk about record keeping. That is so important for anybody who's wanting to sell foods, because if you happen to be involved in a recall of some sort, or somebody gets sick and says, hey, I got sick from your food, this is when I bought it, you need to have the records to show that that's when you made that product so that you can inform others maybe that have that product. So record keeping is so important. And then also covering what the process is on how to file all the information through the testing that we do and through the process authority letters that Dr. Getty gives, how to file that with the FDA, because that has to be done. So there's a lot of information that we put out there in 2 days. It'll be intensive. It will also include a couple quizzes. So we want to make sure you're learning something. So that is a requirement in order to pass the class. For more information on the lab, we do have a website. It's the Kansas Value Added Foods Lab. The website address is ksre.ksu.edu/KVAFL. And you can also call us at 785-532-1294.
And all of this is required if you want to put out any type of product, right?
Definitely for an acidified food product. And the important thing that when you're doing that product, you need to go through a process authority. So both Dr. Kantha at University of Missouri and myself are process authorities. And so our credentials have been looked through by the Association of Food and Drug Officials. And essentially, we're acting on behalf of FDA and looking at your process, and you will upload a process authority letter that either one of us have written for you to make sure you're following the right parameters. And then you also have that process authority letter to show an inspector that may come in and watch you processing your product and making sure that you're following the safety parameters that we've outlined for you.
Do they also from time to time then just send in samples randomly to make sure that they're still on track?
If they want to, and they certainly can do that just as a check just to make sure. But some of these things that, once they get set up and maybe have their own business, they could do some of these themselves. We have some customers that do their own pH testing to check the acid content, and that makes it much more efficient instead of sending it to us and us testing and then getting the information back.
And I'm assuming that if someone is wanting to start their own production, they really should get with the lab first and do that initial testing before they get too far down the road?
Exactly. Plan ahead. We often get people that call us and say, I need this in a week, and we're kind of a first-come, first-served business. So think about the steps you need to do. Also, think about your business plan, too. That's equally as important as figuring out how you're going to make this food that you want to sell. We've done some work with the small business programs in Kansas. They're there to help you get your business set up, making sure you got your, what I would say, ducks in a row.
That's Kansas State University food scientist Karen Blakeslee and Associate Professor Dr. Kelly Getty, co-directors of the Kansas Value Added Foods Lab. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman, and this is the K-State Radio Network.